Just when I thought I couldn't feel any worse about Roger's loss, they put out the picture of the horrible, hideous shoes that Roger's gonna have to wear at Miami. Oh, they're awful! We are fully loaded, overflowing with tennis news and information today. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis, the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. I'm your host, Matt Bradshaw. This is the co-host, Mr. Goat, the talking tennis cat, who loves Roger Federer and prefers Djokovic just a little bit more than Rafa Nadal. Like I said, we're overflowing, overloading. We've got the Miami draw. We've got, of course, the big final in the desert. Del Potro beats Federer. Oh, how gut-wrenching and horrible was that experience for Fed heads after those 3 match points slipped by. And of course, one of them was a first serve that missed, being a match point ace winner for the match by about this much. We've got the transcripts from after the match was over. We've got clips, footage. We've got everything you could think of. Let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, before we... Let's try that again, Mr. Go. Oh, and by the way, before we get into it, let me remind you that Coffee Break Tennis is brought to you by Crunch Time Coaching, a worldwide leader in online tennis instruction. If you want to learn how to play this wonderful game, tennis, you should go to YouTube, search Crunch Time Coaching, or just click the card up there. Learn from tennis genius Peter Freeman and myself how to play this wonderful game that we all love so much. Crunch Time Coaching, a tennis player's best friend, a tennis player's ultimate resource. And of course, if you like what we're doing here, don't just hit the subscribe button, but hit it like Juan Martín Del Potro was at the net and you're down break point, serving 5-4 in the third set of the Indian Wells final. Hit him! So sorry, Mr. Goat. And if that's too violent for you, then just hit a little touch volley at Delpo's ankles. Maybe he won't burn you. Maybe. Today, we go to Damien J. Byrne first on the tweeters. If you want to follow me on the tweeters like Damien, follow me at Coffee Break Tens, T-E-N-S. Sorry, Mr. Goat. Court speeds from last year's Masters series. Indian Wells was even slower this year, apparently. So look, this starts with 2016. Indian Wells, 30. It gets a 30 rating. Miami, 33.1, a little faster. The Count of Monte Carlo, 23.7. 22.5 Madrid, 24 Romania. Just kidding, that's Rome. Toronto, 35. This is yellow. See on the side they got this thing. Blue is fast. Green is medium fast. Yellow is medium. Orange is medium slow. And red is slow. There is no blue. You notice that? Nothing's blue here. Nothing's blue. Maybe the Aussie Open. No, the Aussie Open is not blue. Nothing is blue. Tennis has been slowing down all of the surfaces, even grass, for years. Year after year, for some reason, they slow it down. I guess research shows that your tournament will be more popular if the rallies are longer and more interesting, if it's more of a battle, the matches, so slow down the court so you get more rallies. And we could argue, I'm not going to go there, but we could argue that this is part of why players like Murray, Djokovic, and Nadal have been able to run things for quite a while, because their games and their athletic builds, they benefit from slower surfaces, and everywhere you go in the world, they're slowing down the surfaces. So notice how Indian Wells is 30 in 2016. It's a 27.3 in 2017. So that puts it a little faster than Rome. And it goes down about 3 points. It's slower this year. Everyone's saying it. It's players, spectators, doesn't matter. People are saying it's slower this year and bouncing higher, we've heard, than clay. We'll get to that in a second. Let's just assume they went down 3 points again, or 2.7. We'll round up to 3. That would put them around 24-ish. That would put them around Clay Court Masters Rome. So where am I going with this? Before anyone gets ahead of me and says, Matt, you're going to make excuses for Roger losing and say Del Potro only lost because of the slow court. What I really am trying to say is, during the match, I was twittering away like a mad person. And I saw one tweet. I didn't find it and screenshot it for today's show. Just take my word for it. One person said to me something along the lines of, Matt, if Roger loses this, which he will never win another tournament. That this is all downhill from here, which is crazy, because this surface is so slow. The fact that Roger had those 3 match points and was that close, it's a good sign, right? Like, it's heart-wrenching, it's gut-wrenching for me and Fed heads around the world to see those 3 points, match points, slip away after such a battle, after Roger didn't play his best, found a way to get in a winning position, was this close. Literally, one of the serves he hit on match point, first serve, it was out wide, ad court to the backhand of Del Potro, misses the line by like that much. Would have been an ace, would have been championship, give the trophy to Roger Federer. That's how close it was. So yeah, it hurts, But if we just step back, which is why I did the show today, I had to sleep on it because you step back from it, you look at the match, and you see this is a good sign. Roger went out on a court that, if it did drop another 3 points, is as slow as a clay court, and according to Carolina Wozniacki, is bouncing higher than a clay tournament. It's playing slower than clay and bouncing higher than clay. That's what Wozniacki says. So maybe they slowed it down more than 3 points this year. The fact that Roger was that close to winning on this kind of surface against Del Potro, playing as well as Del Potro was, it's a good sign for the long term. For the big picture of 2018, this is a great sign for Federer. I know. It's hard to hear that, but it's true. So, with that said, I just want to tell you all, people, I don't know why people are arguing with me, Miami is slower than Indian Wells. No, it is not. I have this big article from Damien, and I got to tell you, it's pretty boring, so I'm not going to read through it. But I will tell you some big things from it. So, real quick, we'll take one thing from the article. Look at this picture. Okay, so this is what the ITF uses to measure court speeds. It's this stupid-looking thing where it's a little dolly with a big case on it and a laptop hooked up to a crazy-looking cannon that shoots tennis balls into a tiny box that goes through another box into a net, and they call it the Court Pace Rating System, or CPR. Not to be confused with the type of CPR that Mr. Goat, the talking tennis cat, had to administer to me during the second set tiebreak. And it's called a ceste, or something like that. So, they use that thing, the ITF. Here, let me just tell you the short version of this 5, 6, 7, 8 pages, whatever it is, of, Mr. Goat, hold that for me. This hunk of junk story, it's very interesting reading, but Mr. Goat will have to recycle it. Ooh, there's a lob for you. Mr. Goat will have to, that's like the lob where you're at the net and you just kind of, you got to be real careful with it because you're at the net, so it's hard to float. You could float it deep. You just, boop, kind of pop it straight up. Hope you don't get smashed on. Del Potro could easily smash you with his overhead. Thank you, Mr. Goat. The general gist of that story is the ITF uses that machine, and they get with the people that make the courts and the different types of courts, and they classify different types of courts. So they'll say this court is a plexi cushion IV59, whatever the heck the names of the court surfaces are. Different tournaments have different companies make the courts. This type of court is rated at this speed, but all that can easily go out the window because the individual tournaments, they can take the same basic surface mix and then request that it's tweaked a little bit. And what has happened, as you could see from the graphs, every year, every surface, even grass, no one's safe, no surface is safe. They all are slowed down. So the U.S. Open can put in this type of court that is rated to be medium fast. All right, I'm pretty sure that's what the article said. What a shame I crumpled it up and lob volleyed it. Anyways, it said, I'm pretty sure that the U.S. Open base is a medium fast court. However, widely reported that they added sand to the mixture. They said, okay, let's take this medium fast surface and mix in some stuff to slow it down to medium slow. So we had a high bouncing, slower U.S. Open last year. Definitely didn't help Roger when he played Del Potro there. Didn't help that Roger's back was messed up either. So the gist of that story is you can't really trust the system because, yeah, they rate these surfaces, but then these surfaces get all kinds of special customizations, modifications at each individual tournament, so you never know what you're going to get. The best thing you can do is listen to the player. Let's listen to what Caroline Wozniacki had to say about it.
These are completely different courts than what we're used to all year round. I think it reminds you a little bit of clay, this court, except from the ball bounces even higher and it goes even slower. So I definitely think they've slowed down the courts this year, even more than it used to. And, it's just different.
A higher bounce than clay, a slower surface than clay. You heard Wozniacki say it. Really shocking stuff there. So let's just get to the press conferences. I feel frustrated, that I let an opportunity like this go by. Serving 40-15, any game I'd probably win. I don't know what the stat is, 90-something%. Roger's exactly right. I mean, I would never get over it if I was in that position. A lot of players won't get over something like this. A loss like this will hurt them for months. They'll have poor results. You see it all the time. Look at Dimitrov last year. He loses that crazy semifinal to Nadal. He doesn't show up anywhere he plays for months after that. I can't remember. When did Dimitrov have a good result? Comment below if you can think of it. When did Dimitrov have a good result before Cincinnati and after what happened in Australia against Rafa in that semifinal. In between, I can't think of anything. I'm sure he did something okay somewhere, but I can't remember it. So let's just, before we move on to Miami, and I'll read the comments at the very end. Then we'll do Miami. We'll read the comments. But before we do that, let's go through some highlights from the match. Talk a little bit about what Del Potro said also. First off, to me, this is one of the most shocking things I've seen. I know it's not too crazy when we look at it the next day, but in the moment, for how that match felt, this was nuts. Mr. GOAT, roll the clip.
And it's Federer that's taken it. What an effort. There will be a challenge. And can you believe it, Robbie? It's long.
So you heard the commentators there. They say, okay, Roger's won the set. Oh, wait. We have a challenge. Roger, not happy with that. But even I tweeted out at that moment, that's BS, which stands for bad stuff. They should at least give Roger a first serve if he has to wait so long in between serves. Think about that. You're walking off the court. The crowd's going wild. You just won the second set. No wait. It's a second serve on an extremely important point in a tiebreak that if you lose, you're very likely to end up not winning this match and going home right now. What happens after Roger yells at the umpire? Of course, I knew it was going to happen. Everyone knew it was going to happen. You might have hoped it wouldn't happen, but you knew it was going to happen. Take a look.
Got to reset here. Oh, no way!
You should have waited, yeah.
Oh, you should have waited, but you didn't stop them, did you? You just let them come.
Del Potro misses a makeable forehand, and Roger ends up winning that second set a second time. You could argue. I mean, look, the serve was out, but they could have given him a first serve. I don't know. It's such a tough call. I feel bad for Fergus Murphy, because if he did give Roger a first serve, Del Potro would have went nuts, but he went nuts. Anyways, what did Del Potro say about it? It was a horrible moment for me. I was still thinking about my forehand miss, my forehand error, mistake in the match point. It's my shot, my forehand from that side of the court. I never miss that forehand. I'm doing my best with the Del Potro voice. And then, of course, we have the moment where Roger has a match point and goes for the drop shot. Replay this clip, Mr. GOAT. If you're too busy licking yourself, maybe I'll play it.
No.
So yeah, that's a match point for Roger, and he had 3 chances, but this particular chance really hurts. It wasn't that bad of an idea to drop shot there. Like, I know the backhand up the line was struck pretty well, and he did pull Del Potro out into a defensive position, but if you watch that clip, maybe replay it real slow next to my face while I talk, Del Potro is doing a pretty good job to recover back. So if he just tries to blast that ball to the backhand corner of Del Potro's pretty likely to be able to get it, because Del Potro's kind of shifting over to the left a lot. So by dropping it, now Del Potro has to move forwards and to the right. Unfortunately, Roger didn't really hit a very good drop shot. And, some people were tweeting like, more drop shots. You just can't drop shot all the time in tennis. I'm not saying like it's a bad strategy. I'm saying it's just really difficult to pull off because you need a special ball to drop shot. You need a slower ball. When Del Potro rips it at you, it's really hard to successfully drop that ball. Of course, we could argue that Roger shouldn't have gone for the drop shot and just stayed in the rally and waited for another chance. But he wanted to finish it right there. He wanted to get out of there. If he would have hit it perfectly, if he would have hit a better drop shot and won right there, it'd been working all match. Every time he hit a drop shot, it seemed like Delpo would get there, but Delpo would kind of pop up an easy volley to just put right past him for Roger. If Roger hits it, everyone in the world says, genius! He's a brilliant shot maker. Roger's so genius. Should he have probably waited for a better opportunity? Maybe. It's so hard to rehash it right now. Like Roger said in the press conference, it doesn't matter now. And then finally, in the third set tiebreaker, I'm not going to show you any highlights. I'll just tell you what happened. You know what happened. 2 double faults from Roger Federer. I think there was a shank forehand that went sideways in the crowd. At that point, and some people use the word choke, it kind of did feel like a choke. And who can blame Roger for a choke? Because after you suffer that, the fact that he won that second set tiebreak, after walking to his chair thinking he won it with the crowd going crazy and having to go back, double fault, be in the hole, but then somehow come out of that and win that second set tiebreak, you only get like one of those a match. You can't go through that more than once. I mean, sure you can, but it's very rare. So for Roger to be so close, have it taken away, still come through, win the second set, then be so close, don't win the match after being that close. It's really tough. In a tiebreaker, you don't hold your serve, you hit a couple bad returns, you double fault once, you double fault twice. It's over. Sorry, Mr. Goat. This is as bad for your nerves as that match was yesterday. So with all that said, where are my comments? Mr. Goat, what'd you do with... Holy sh... Mr. Goat, did you just knock my coffee cup off the table? Well, it looks like the contract dispute is back on. This might be a very bad omen for Miami. My Come On Roger Cup is gone. Mr. Goat is down on the floor, sniffing the coffee that sits there. We'll have to clean that in a moment. Let's go to the Miami draw. We go to the Twitters where Ollie Payton, our good friend of the show, a top-rated tennis spy, international spy, that is. He's tweeted to me the paths of the most interesting players in the tournament, because this is what I'm getting at. We may see a rematch on a faster court, Miami. Roger will play a qualifier. Then he is likely to face the seed Verdasco. Of course, he could play Tennis Sandgren, Guillermo Garcia Lopez. Round 16, a guy named Pablo Carrena. Quarterfinals, he's projected to meet Kevin Anderson. Semifinal, Sasha Zverev. Not going to happen is what Ollie put. I agree. Although I think I'm going to be there for the semifinals in Miami, so I would like to see that match. Final, there we go. Del Potro. How does Del Potro get there? What would he have to run through? Yushi Sugita, Robin Haase could be the first opponent for Del Po, the champion of the desert. Nishikori. Okay. Novak Djokovic, round of 16. That would be very interesting. Definitely would favor Del Po to win that match. But it could be good. Maybe. We'll see. Quarterfinal, Grigor Dimitrov. Not convinced that's going to happen. I can't think of a time where Dimitrov ever did well in Miami. Marin Cilic, semifinal. Final, Roger Federer. Could Del Po beat Cilic at Miami? I think Cilic is a better fast court player than Del Po, maybe. Novak Djokovic could play Sasha Zverev's brother, Misha Zverev, or Benoit Paire, who's so much fun. Krajinovic, who we saw Roger play at Indian Wells. Del Potro, round 4, of course. Dimitrov, Cilic, Federer. It's the same path to the final. You know, the ending is Del Potro would have. So there you go. There is our draw. Comment below what you think will happen in those matches. Comment below if you see a match within the draw. This is always an interesting thing for me, where someone could potentially get through and disrupt that seeding pattern. You know, we always look at these are the seeds that are going to meet here. And as you know, some tournaments, the seeds don't go anywhere. What do we got? We're 35 minutes in today. Woo, that's a little long. It's a lot of editing to do. Let's read some comments. Cauder, RMB, Coder, something like that. Man, this match was a roller coaster ride. I watch all of Fed's matches. Today's match was incredible. It had everything we would want in a final. However, it's a sad world when Federer loses, even after being up, you know, the match points. Wanted to cry. All streaks are meant to end. Federer never gave up. Del Po deserved to win in the tiebreak. Must have been such an emotional shift when Del Po broke back in the decider. Nevertheless, I strongly believe Federer would go all the way in Miami. His presence on court just excites the hell out of me. Hey, Matt, so Federer lost. It was an epic match. Could have gone either way, of course. After this, can you comment? This is from Haider Raha. Can you comment on whether you think Del Po can challenge Nadal on clay this year? I mean, he seems to be playing better than ever. Given his height, I think he can really deal with Nadal's topspin, especially on the way Del Po striking his backhand. Crucial against the lefty Spaniard. Yeah, I think that is very possible. Del Po could pull it off. The only thing is, it's Rafa, which always complicates things. It's clay, Rafa on clay, which always complicates things. And it's best of 5 sets. So Rafa maybe could kind of, rope-a-dope Muhammad Ali. Rafa could maybe rope-a-dope his way to a victory against Del Potro in a best of 5 sets at the French Open. I don't even know who the crowd would support. maybe Delpo. I could see Delpo winning that match in, straight sets maybe, or 4 sets or something, but Rafa could really drag him around that court and get him in a 5th set so exhausted that Rafa still wins. But you know what? Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing Del Potro the rest of the year, and we don't even know if Rafa is going to be healthy. So yeah, I think Delpo can challenge anyone, especially on a slow, high-bouncing court. Anyone in the world. Things could turn. Delpo could be 2 in the world before we know it. This could be the battle of Roger and Delpo for the rest of the year, going in the next year. Who knows who's going to step up, but Delpo has stepped up. Roger has stepped up for a while now. Critics at large, 007, sad, disappointed Federer lost after having 3 championship points. Can't win them all, though, and good for Del Potro to win a Masters finally. Dislike his whining, though, when the crowd is cheering for Federer. He did it at Shanghai last year playing against Fed, but had no problems when the Argentines were chanting, ole, 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 and putting Team off his serving motion at last year's U.S. Open. In fact, afterwards, he called them a good crowd. Yeah, we can make this case, and it's pretty fascinating. But hey, if I was Delpo, I'd do the same thing. It's very hard to deal with the emotions of a tennis match at any level. At my much smaller recreational league level, even though they're maniacs here in Atlanta, Georgia, battling, fighting to the death almost to win these little city championships. But at the biggest levels, the emotions are so crazy and the stress is so high, it's hard not to freak out and bite somebody's head off. So I don't blame Del Potro for that. I totally understand. Complain, do whatever you got to do. Just refuse to lose, win at all costs. Sharada K writes, Coffee Break Tennis, that argument between Feds and the umpire over Delpo's late challenge was so like the U.S. Open 2009, a bad deja vu, and it ended that way too. Maybe Fed should stop arguing with the umpire in Delpo matches. P.S. I'm usually not a superstitious person. You acted silly about this final, being unrealistic and childish, saying Fed will win because he's GOAT. That's not a good enough reason. Fed was shaky all tournament with the forehand. Delpo was solid. Also, Fed acted kind of pathetic in the second set when he challenged a call when it was on the line, complaining to the umpire to overrule. Just being objective here. Look, I know Vance Agarwal. I've seen you comment over the years. I know you're a Fed fan. You're right. That moment, like when Roger goes and yells at the umpire a little bit because the challenge came pretty late when it looks like he won the second set and he's walking off, I get that. Now, when Roger said, seriously, in a tiebreak, you're going to miss that call? When he said something along the lines of that and then he challenges and it's like very obviously, oh, it was out. Again, I understand because you're upset and you behave ugly and childish, and it happens, Vanch. And I don't think I was being unrealistic or childish. I mean, Roger came this close from acing for the match. I mean, I thought he was going to win. I thought he was going to find a way. He came very close. G-O-T-T, he says, Vance Agarwal, I consider Delpo the favorite going in this match with both their form, given both their forms. But you have to admit, the match was a lot closer than we expected. The fact that Fed had championship points, so it kind of backed me up a little bit there. KG, it wasn't about Fed not feeling good. It was about him choking under pressure. There's that word again, choke. A lot of people thought Roger choked a bit. That's why I've always considered Nadal, Djokovic above him in middle strength. Apart from that AO final 2017, I haven't seen Fed winning over them in clutch situations. I don't like that one too much. Look, Roger is very mentally tough. You don't win 20 majors not being super tough. All right, we got a couple pages, but I'm looking over at the time, and I'm just going to read one more. This is a really good one. Ipsita Das. Coffee Break Tennis. For me, what hurt was not that he lost. That was bound to happen at some point. Law of averages. What was painful was the way he finished so poorly after the 3 championship points. That hurt. It sure did hurt, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that loss. Well, thank you for watching the show today. I will be in the Bahamas on Thursday. With Pete, we're doing a Crunch Time tennis clinic. So no show Thursday. In fact, I don't know when we'll get another show this week because I'm going to be doing a tennis clinic with tennis guru and genius Peter Freeman for Crunch Time Coaching. That's right, Crunch Time Coaching. We host awesome tennis clinics, sometimes in paradise. So won't see you on Thursday, but we will be back sometime this week, most likely from the Bahamas. Thank you for watching Coffee Break Tennis. And even though I'm going to the Bahamas in a couple days, I am about as sad and down as a guy who knows he's going to the Bahamas in a couple days to play tennis for his job. I'm about as sad as that guy could get. See ya!